Alright guys, so hey, a little different video today. Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. So we are starting a different project tonight. So the other night Tony Lancer was over and we were talking on some of my kits I have on the wall here. And I told him I don't like these shelves because they're starting to sag really bad. And I've seen a few guys out there. I know Lucas C had a problem a while back where his whole collection fell. I don't think I'll have that issue here. These are supported pretty good. But looking down the line here, they got quite a bow to them. You know, see the wood on the bottom? So I'm just, makes me a little nervous at times. Like, you know what? Maybe it's time to fix that. I have some 3/4 plywood outside. And I'm going to make a shelf all the way across here. These are I can't remember what these are. It might be 6 foot a piece. I can't remember if that's the deal or not. Because the room is, I think, 14. So it looks about right. I'm not 100% sure. So just recently, I just added this shelf. So I just finished the desk for my daughter's salon. So I had a little bit of wood left over. And I had these brackets kicking around. They weren't my fondest bracket that I wanted to use. But I was being that guy and didn't want to go to the store and get some. So I actually just took a piece of 3/4 and just made one L-shaped. It's not two pieces, just one solid deal. So I figured that worked pretty good. And tacked her up and give me some more shelf space. So I'll do a little bit of room modification. So this has been about a year in this room. So I've got a few things I want to change in here to kind of help things move along a little bit. My other plan is I'm going to put lighting on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is put some lighting up underneath here, because when I have this tripod on with my camera, it puts a good shadow down. So I want to get rid of that, because I have these lights up here. These are actually really bright. I mean, so I think they'd be too bright for the under the bench. So I had an idea. So I went out into the garage and I actually took a light down from the ceiling. So I'm going to use this light. This is one of these cheapies you get at Walmart. I think they're like, I don't know, 16 bucks. This isn't the super bright lumen ones like I have hanging up. The ones I have hanging up above me are the kind of like the industrial ones. Well, they look industrial, but obviously they're probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart. And I'm going to take the light piece out of here, just the LED strip. And I'm going to put one side up here and then another 4-foot chunk over here on this side. And this is going to have a piece coming down, so you won't see the light reflecting out this way. So I think that'll work pretty good. So I'm going to take this light apart, and like I said, I'm going to dissect it. And I'll show you guys here the process as we go. And make a big mess here. So let the games begin. So we'll see how this turns out. Alright guys, we are getting ready to cut this board down. So we're using 3/4 inch plywood. And I'm just going to put a whole new sheet on there. I was going to use the 2 boards that were there, but I thought, you know what? I want to go just a little bit wider, so it'll accommodate some of those bigger kits. We're going to get this ripped down and get this put together. All right, guys, we got those cut down. That worked out pretty good. So I cut 2 of them. And I'm going to do is, now we're just going to cut the ends of these off because these are 8-foot sheet. So I'm just going to cut these down to 75 inches. That'll gain me an extra 3 inch per shelf. Probably just enough to maybe stick another model kit on there. I'm not sure. Okay, so another quick thing we're going to do. I'm going to take this piece of wood here, just a little piece of scrap wood, and I'm going to drill holes about every inch. And I'm going to put little dowels on there. And I'm going to put this in under my new shelf I made. And this is going to hold the, like my styrene strips, my metal pieces, all those little bag pieces. You can buy those like Evergreen products and K&S steel, all that little stuff like that. So this way I'm not digging through it. I'll have a nice little hook and hang it on the wall. Alright guys, so we are the next morning. So our paint is dried. So this is my little pegboard I got made here. Okay, so we're going to put this up here underneath the shelf, because I have all these styrene packets and everything, and it's always piled up everywhere. And I thought, man, I just clutter. So I'm going to stick this bad boy up here. And I got 2 studs here. I got one here and one over here. And that'll work perfect. Of course, I got an extra hole there because I was going to use these brackets, and I didn't realize they were, well, I did realize, I just wasn't paying attention. They're long on one side and short, so of course I had the long side down and I wanted it the other way, and I thought, oh, way to go, man, put another hole in the wall. So I thought, hey, we'll cover it up with, you know, a good old extra piece here. So we'll get her hung up and hang these pieces up and see what she looks like. All right, we got one shelf put together, and I got the other one done here, and we'll go in the room and start hanging some lights on it. So I used 3/4 plywood on this, so I had some left over here from other projects. And yes, I didn't realize there's a knot here, so as I drilled in, and this side wanted to split, and I thought, well, okay, and I got one in here. I thought, you know what, you're not going to see this. This is the top, and these will be against each other of the wall, so I wasn't worried about the sides. So either side is painted, just to keep it simple, and didn't want it all sticking together. So the bottom is what you're going to see. So when we flip it over, so the inside's painted, and you're not going to see this side because this will be against the wall, so you will see the sides. So the light is going to go right here underneath here. And like I say, I may put some foil across here just to give it a little more illumination. So I got the new shelf turned upside down, and I took that old crappy shop light I had, and these were together. So I took and cut that in half, and this was metal, and yeah, I know I can go to Amazon, just buy a light strip, be done with it, but you know what, this is more fun. So I like tinkering with stuff, so this is what we got. Plus this light was damaged when I was building this building. I actually broke the one corner of it, so it was still obviously usable, but you know what, we're going to repurpose it. And plus, I probably could have went and bought some of the lights I'd have hanging in here, because these are already separate. But those lights that I have up here are like, I don't remember, they're like super bright. And this one's not as bright, so I don't want something where it's like, you know, where it's like looking in the sun. So these are a little less powerful. I don't remember what the lumens were on it. But like I said, I just took and I folded the metal in half, and I actually just took it over to my belt sander and just until it cut it in half. So that worked out actually pretty good. So I took and drilled 3 holes in here, and we're just going to put these real small screws in here just to hold it in. As like I say, it's not going to take much, and we're going to get this wired up. So I'm going to put the power source, which is this here. This is the end of the light. This is what you get inside one of these shop lights. Not much to it. So you got a ground, power and negative for your LEDs, and obviously LED does not run on a full 120, so you can see how small that wire is. So I'm not overly worried about modifying this that much. So I have some wire here, and we're going to stick with the red and black theme. This gauge is a little heavier. It's not much. I'm say this is probably 20 gauge. That's pretty light. And I believe this is 18, so it's not going to kill it. So like I said, what we're going to do is put the power source on the side here. So this here will mount over here on the side. Move you guys over so you can see here. So it's going to mount down here, and the side boxes that the lights were in, I'm going to reassemble it in here so that way it has a box, because anytime you guys do any type of wiring, you always put the open end in a box. Always. Doesn't matter what you're doing. So this will be in a box, and I got the other half of this, and I'm just gonna screw them together, and this will set on the side here and go through and power it up that way. So I got a hole drilled through here, so the power will go through the hole, and then we'll just run it down, so on and so on. So we'll get started on this. Okay guys, so we have our solder. There's some strippers and a little torch. I don't use a soldering iron. That's my soldering iron right there. And we're going to take some shrink tube, and we're using some solderless connectors or butt connectors, however you want to pronounce it, what part of the country you're from. But what I do is I like to crimp them on, and then I solder them. So I'm a solder guy. I like to solder everything. That way there's no questions asked. And then we're going to use some of this awesome tape. This is I believe they call it like a Calypso tape, or it's like almost like a friction tape. It's not really friction tape, but it's like that. You almost got to cut it with a razor to get it apart. So we're going to take our ends here. Left myself plenty to work with. We don't need much, just a little bit. And we are going to use the ground. Like I say, I'm going to use these solderless connectors. Put these on. So we're going to take some of our red wire, strip it back, crimp this up. Use shrink tube on it. So what I like to do with this shrink tube a lot of times, I'll just cut it in half just to save it. This is the stuff that's got glue in it, so it's actually pretty good stuff. And I make sure it's not overlapping that connector. You don't need the whole thing covered up. Hang on to it. Wow, one more time. Okay, get that set in there, and we'll put this on here. So we're just gonna go like it was, red on red. Okay, so there's that. We'll get the black one and we'll solder it all at one time. Even though I know that's a sufficient crimp, but never hurts to give her a little touch of the old solder. So get a little fire on there. Solder these up quick. So don't take much heat, just enough to warm it up. Well, just enough to tin the ends, that's all we're doing. Did we get some in there? I think we did. There we go. Like so. Just like so. Alright. We'll take our shrink tube, walk it down here. We'll get it started. I'll grab my other shrink tube because it went down the line somewhere. I'm going to do super close to this, just enough to put some heat on it. Let's go this way. Get some glue rolling out of there. We should be good. So one side of this will go to the light, and another side will go to the other light on the other side. So we cut this end off here, so this will go to one light. We got these cut. Strip these back. And we'll get this soldered on the other side. Okay. Fire! Alright. We'll cut that one a little longer because obviously we did a little more melting on that one. It's the only bad thing about using a torch versus a soldering iron. It catches things on fire. But that's its purpose. That's its job of life, is to burn things. So you'll have that. Ah yeah. Ah yeah. Okay, this part is about wrapped up here. Alright, we'll get a ground wire put on here. So the ground I'm not going to solder. I'm not overly worried about it. I do want to put a little bit of coverage on here because I obviously don't want nothing to short out. Slide this on here. And this wire is a little bigger than it should be because I thought I had some more wire around here, but I don't. So it's a little overkill, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. Got have something on there just in case. So they only had this ground just going to the metal part of the light. So we're going to incorporate that along the way here. Like I said before, guys, I know I can get these lights online and turn on, plug it in, but you know what? That's a cool thing about building this room myself, is it's all done myself. You know, if I want to put some janky light system in here, then so be it. That's how it is. I'm just taking you guys along with me. So that circuit board is actually a metal. It's like a tin almost. So I'm trying to be careful with it. Obviously that'll get hot as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap these wires. Probably gonna leave this guy on his own, but this one and this one we're gonna wrap these up. So I have my magic black tape, so I'm gonna start it close. I'm just gonna start wrapping it all the way down. So this is the part that's gonna take a bit, so I'm probably gonna get started on it and I'll do the rest off camera because this will take me a while to wrap this up. It's all in a good wrap job, kind of like when we're painting, you know. It's all about prep work. Okay, I'll wrap this up and we'll come back. So we got this taped up. She's all pretty looking. So we got this taped up. So I taped these all together so it's on the board. So now I'm just going to take the board, set it in here, and I used another side, opened the bottom up for a little relief, and I punched the holes out. So I'm going to screw them into the board. So I'm going to use these pan screws so that way they'll just sit flat against the plastic. Throw that guy in there. Kind of looks cobbled up, doesn't it? Kind of is. That's all right. So we're going to go up with it because the bench, we obviously, this is upside down. So that way the wires will just go up. Okay, like so. So that's all nice and tidy. So this will go up, obviously. Now these, we're just going to feed through the little hole I have drilled down here. This will be for light number 1. This will be light number 2. Like I said, I didn't wrap the ground wire because that's really not necessary. Okay, so we got the box mounted up. And I just left some slack. There's no sense pulling it tight. Because I don't want to stress the board inside. Which we're good either way. I mean, it's not hurting it. So this is obviously against the wall this side here. So I'm going to take some of these. And I'm going to tack this up in place. The power wire. That way it's not pulling on the box. And then another one almost to the end here. Okay, that way she's good. Okay, so we're going to take our short wire. Get these stripped back. And we'll get these soldered onto the light. I left myself enough tape there so I can still heat it without shrinking the tube down before it gets hot. Done that before. Okay, so we'll do the black one first because the red shrink tube just fell off. So when you guys are soldering, you just heat the component up and it should wick right in there like so. Love the smell of solder in the morning. You know, it's funny, every time I take this little mini torch home to do a project, it's almost always out of propane, or butane I should say. Almost always, because I never check it. Of course there's no way really to check it, let's just fill it. So with this hole, I'm going to run one of the ground wires there. And then I'm going to use the light as a ground source, and then jump it over to the next light. Alright, so we're going to pre-drill some holes for these little guys just to make life easier. So we're going to just put a small bit in the old drill here. That make life a little easier, help screw it in better. I want to go all the way through. Okay guys, I changed screws up because those ones were a little too small and I had to get a different screwdriver. So we'll try this again. So what I did is I took the ground, I just crimped it on there. I'm not going to solder it, and this is going to go on the light bar itself. Just on the light here. Because it's all metal. And then I'm going to put another one on the other end. Okay, we'll tighten this harness up. Okay, so on this end, to join the two together, I'm going to use these here. Like a male and female end. So we're going to use this here. And that way I can just unplug it and plug it back in. Like I say, they're low voltage, so I'm not really worried about it too much. Alright guys, I'm going to get this rest of this wired up and I'll show you what we got going on here in the end. So just be a little easier because I'm going to have to move stuff around. So we'll be right back. Alright guys, we got the second one done. Got my holes drilled to match the holes to the other one. And got my makeshift light up there. So I'll just take some Mod Podge and just carelessly brush it along. I'm going to put that aluminum foil up there. It don't have to be nothing fancy. Just enough to cover the lighted area. Alright guys, like I said, just stick the foil. And that's just regular household aluminum foil. That's all I had cut off on the roll. So I'll just take that and take a knife and just scribe it down. Fold this over so I know where I'm at. Like I say, don't be perfect. You're not going to see it. It's just to keep the light a little brighter. It's kind of my thought on it anyways. I use my finger as a guide. Straight and perfect? Absolutely not. Oh hey, it does the job. Okay. Strip this other shelf down and we should be ready to roll. So I had to change the brackets. I bought some heavy duty bad boys here. These little ones here, they're just not cutting it. I'm telling you what, like I say, look at the bow on that thing. It's bowing so much that this bottle, those two bottles right there are holding that shelf up. That's shelf one. Yeah, so it's pretty sturdy. So I think I may move the paint rack. I'm not sure yet. That might be debatable. I'll see. I almost thought about putting it out here, making a rack for the outside here. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just line the whole thing right full of paints all the way down. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, that's looking pretty cool. Those are pretty solid. So we got our new brackets up. So I moved this bracket down to the next stud, and then I just left that little one up there. It's basically there for looks. All right, guys. So kind of wrapping this video up. So I just wanted to show you guys because it's kind of funny walking. This is walking into the back of my garage. My garage is a 24 by 48. So this is built in the back corner of my garage. And this is what the outside of the room looks like. So when you first walk in, you kind of have no idea that this is where you're going into for the hobby room. Yeah, so there's nothing done on the outside. And, you know, I like keep it that way. It keeps the taxes down. So, and it's always funny when I get visitors over because they're like, well, that's your hobby room. And then they open the door and they're like, oh my gosh, that's not what I expected. So, yeah, so we got this all finished up for this time around. And happy with the changes so far in it. That shelf turned out amazing. That looks really, really nice. It's nice and straight, solid looking, smooth as it's gonna get, I guess. And I mean, so it's nice and straight now. And I took the two pieces, I joined them together in the center, and did all that. So my lighting, like I say, I just tagged in there once I had the two shelves up, drilled the hole through to the other side, and put everything up. So it worked pretty good. And like I say, I followed that ground wire through and tagged it into the light. So make sure we're all safe and good to go. On the other side here, boxes that I kind of put together. Man, I tell you what, that cord could not have been any shorter because I thought, ooh, that was just perfect. So yeah, so the shelf thing worked out pretty good. I'm glad I did that. And I think that's pretty cool. Like I say, yeah, I could have bought a light strip off Amazon because the flag, that's the Amazon light set up in there, you know, with the little control box and the remote and all that good stuff. But sometimes you gotta be careful buying those online too, because they're not that bright, some of them, and the bright, really nice ones, I mean, they can get pretty pricey too. So this here was just an old cheapy Walmart shop light. I think, what is it, Hyper Tough, whatever that brand they have there, and it was just the cheap ones, like 13 bucks or 14 bucks. So just tore it apart, and I enjoy doing this stuff. You know, to me, I can sit back and like, yeah, I took a light apart and I put that up myself. So that's what I like about it. And I think it looks nice, and I knew what color it was going to be and all that kind of stuff, because some of those LEDs you buy, sometimes they're like sunshine yellow or something weird like that. So I just thought it was cooler just to do it that way, and it's what I wanted, you know, because I just wanted a 4-foot chunk here and a 4-foot chunk here, because I didn't need to light up underneath the paint booth or the spray booth there. I didn't need to do that. So I like how that turned out, and I tell you what, that made such a difference on the bench there. So when I go to do something, that worked out really well. So I've been in this room now for a year. It's been about a year since I built this, and so far I've been pretty pleased out here. It's very comfortable, very nice to come out here to work, kind of get away from the day and come out here and relax for a minute. And like I said, it's very comfortable. During the summer I added the mini split, so it's AC and heat. So that actually made it really comfortable out here, especially in the summertime, because it'd be 90 degrees and it's like a meat locker in here. So it can get pretty cold. Obviously it's climate controlled or temperature controlled, so it's works out pretty good. I'm going to add a vent here along the wall. I had the vent purchased. It's just like one of those floor registers that you'd have for your heating, and it has the little thing you can slide it open and close. I didn't realize when I built this, I'm not a builder. I mean, I'm no builder by any means. I just know enough to be dangerous. And you can tell by this shelf, because I didn't realize this corner was 100% true. So looking at her, yeah, that's not quite square. My wall isn't, but hey, you never know by looking at it, right? But I didn't realize when you turn the spray booth on, I never put a vent in here, any kind of ventilation at all, except the only vent going out is that spray booth. And I thought, probably should do something about that, because sometimes it does get a little fumey in here, and I can open the door and just leave the fan turned on this for a bit. And when that is running, you can feel cold air coming out of the sockets. and like being drawn through the walls from the outside. And I thought, that's going through all that insulation. That's got to be healthy. So I thought, maybe better get a vent put in there. So that's maybe next week's project. Other than that, I'm going to change these paint shelves around. I think we're going to build a different style, maybe out of this 1x here. Just a little different style shelving. I'm sorry, it's not 1x. Yeah, I guess it is. I don't know. Everything's dimensional now, so I don't know what they actually call it. But anyways, I've had these bottles fall so many times on stuff, and I thought, oh, it's horrible. And just, I got my testers and kind of like my Flocos and the Model Masters all down there. Those fall more than any of them. And then I got the MCW and the Tamiya's over here. So most of these MCWs, you guys need to go check out Mark's website at Hobby.Models, because he sells the full line of them down there, and it's, you guys know that's pretty much all the paint I use, so I love it. Love the stuff. Excellent. So that's the room so far. I got to do a few other tidy up things in here. I got some ceiling tiles that's been coming down. I built this room last winter, and I built this. It was so cold out last year when I put this together. These are cheapy floor tiles. So I went to the dollar store and bought floor tiles, and I went cheap on it, and I thought, yep, I'll just do that and buy some aerosol paint, and I'll paint them white and black. Well, I tell you what, I should have just spent the money and bought black and white tiles, because the money I spent on spray paint cans, especially when it's cold out trying to paint them, what a hassle. Just fogging everything in my garage. What a nightmare. I probably would have been better just getting latex and just rolling them, but I didn't think of that at the time. I figured the spray paint would have worked good, but it did not. So either way, I was trying to staple those up. I used my air nailer, and I think they were just so cold and hard, they just blew right through it. And they were adhesive, so now they're starting to come down just a little bit, but not a big deal. Just got to repair a few of those, only on this side. I think I got 1 or 2 on that side doing it. Other than that, the flag's been holding out pretty good. I built this out of 2 sheets of Lawan. So this is a 4x8 sheet of Lawan, and I extended it. You can see at the end here, I think that's about 8 inches, roughly. So, and it's extended this way, I think. I don't remember. It's supposed to be 4 foot, but I think it's closer to almost 5 or something like that. It was to get the dimensions right for the flag. Then I bought some stars off Amazon, and obviously painted it all up. Put a little edge on there and put an Amazon LED light setup on the inside. Just super cool. I thought that was a really neat touch to the room. And little secret of the room, I put the flag up first, and then I butted the floor tile up to the flag just to save myself some money on it. So I thought, well, we're going to cheat a little bit and go that route, but that turned out pretty good. And the only other downside of this room, my biggest thing I probably don't like the most out of it, is my floor. So this is vinyl floor. I bought this at Home Depot, and it scratches like so easy. It's unbelievable. I figured it was going to be good out here because in case of moisture or whatnot, I didn't want it to buckle. But no, it's horrible. So I had this chair sitting here. I was cleaning the room. There was nothing in it. Headed in the middle of the room. Swept the floor. Went to pull the chair back and looked on the floor. Huge scratch. You can see a big white scratch right there. I thought, are you kidding me? I thought it was a piece of string at first. I thought, that's scratched. I thought, the heck? There must have been something in those rollers from when I put the, shelving up. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. Yes, it is out in the garage. But there's 25 pins in this here. Just a piece of scrap wood, painted black, drilled some holes that are 1 inch apart. And I took a bunch of dowels I had sitting in some of my railroad stuff here, and took them and cut them by hand on a hand miter box, because I tried to use my saw on it, and man, they just either chipped or zing, as you cut it. And I thought, okay, we got to be a little more careful with this. So so that worked out really nice. I may do is add another one along this side of the wall here eventually, just because I had to double a couple of these up, but that's still okay, because way better than sorting through the pile and all that good stuff. So yeah, so that's where we are at, and all that good stuff. So I think it turned out pretty good so far. And like I said, we got to do some more updates and changes to it, and we'll just keep plugging away and keep building some more models, I guess. So okay guys, I'm going to wrap this up, and we will go from there. So I will see you guys on the next video, next build series of some sort, of something of sort or the other. and go from there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in to the channel and following along with this video. If you guys made it to the end of this video, awesome. I appreciate it, because I think this is running probably a lot longer than I anticipated. But that's just the way it goes. So once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time around. You guys have a good one. We'll see ya.